ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। शांति शांति शांति।
Usha, can you tell us how and when did you come to know about Swami?
I'm not sure exactly what year because I was very small. And the story started where a distant relative of our family, in those days, cell phones, even telephones did not exist, but somehow messages got to each other and they lived like about maybe half a mile away. All they told my father is that there is this program and we should go. So we arrived, and of course we arrived early. We went in, we sat down on the benches. Some people greeted us, but no one was there. And then all of a sudden, this group of people walked in with musical instruments, and they all came in dressed with sari. And then, of course, they walked in with a photograph of Swami. And they put it down, and that was it. Bhajan started. They had a discourse. Again, I was very small, and I guess the only thing I remembered was Swami's photo. And they made an announcement that the next bhajan of where it would be. In those days, there was nowhere to have bhajan, so they would use a savannah, the playground of a school, and you bring your own bed sheet and you sit down. There was no segregation, men and ladies, families sat together. You sometimes walked half a mile. But I remember that it was several years after I was part of the 50th birthday celebration. I know Uncle Dubey is on this call. I don't know if it was all the children, the Balvika's children. They had 25 girls, 25 boys, and we celebrated Swami's 50th birthday at Naparima Bowl. And that's as far as I know it. We just kept going to one bhajan after the other, get an invitation. We just kept going, and before you know it, we were well integrated into Sai organization. I'll pass.
Sarah. So Bob, your turn.
Yes, Sarah, everyone. Sarah, for me, it was a very innocent happening. I had finished my O-levels at Quarantine High School, and I went to live with my parents at Iflot Estate. My dad was working there, and I was in Berbice, so when I finished, I joined him. And the same weekend I arrived, my parents invited me to some family friends' home, that they were having a puja, and I must attend to meet the family and friends around. And I thought, okay, that's a good idea. And I went and I sat down in the crowd, and Pandit Anand Sukul was doing the puja. And while he was doing the homam, he stopped in the middle of the homam and he said, by the way, I must tell all of you, the Lord is incarnated. He's in human form, living in Prashanti Nilayam, Puttaparthi. As soon as he said that, brother, in my mind, and I'm using the word mind now because I thought that's all I know at the time, my mind, I started hearing some beautiful music. A beautiful music that I have never heard before, and I didn't want it to stop. I just felt like this music was so beautiful. everything else should go on and I will enjoy my music by myself. I closed my eyes and I was there for about a minute and a half or so. But during that minute and a half, I wasn't aware I was sitting among other people. I was like alone. And then I opened my eyes and I braved myself at the end to go and ask Pandit Anand Sukul why he said this. He said, when lunch is served, come and sit near to me and I will tell you. And it was he who told me about Baba, and my journey started. I asked him, how can I know more? Because I wanted to taste the same sweetness. This musical sweetness was so intense that I didn't feel like I wanted it to stop. So I advanced my feeling to express it to him that if he can tell me more immediately and to share something with me that I can follow with him, because he seemed to know everything about Baba. And it was the first time I meeting the Pandit. But in Guyana in those days, if you don't know the Pandit, you have to sit a far distance away as a matter of respect. And you don't interfere with the program. But he allowed me to ask him for the books. And he was the person who lent me the first book of Man of Miracles. And that's how I started my journey to Baba.
So, Sister Usha, I know you've had many, many experiences with Swami, both in Party and out of Party, and even in Trinidad. So can you share with us two of your most memorable experiences with Swami? Sarah.
Like you say, many experiences, it's kind of hard to choose which ones are most memorable, but 1983, my first trip to Puttaparthi. We went with a big group, 60 people. Many of these young adults or children have now grown up and is still engaged in this organization. I want to mention Uncle Jagmohan Singh. At the time, his children were small. Both of them are now, all the children are grown up. Sandra. They were part of the group. And we went and there was Balvikas Guru's training. And in those days, around building 5 didn't exist. I think it was number 1, 2, and 3. Many of the buildings did not exist. The sheds were there, and we had the training. And Swami would come unannounced, and he would just show up, and you would hear this diesel engine car coming because it was so quiet, so little people. And Swami would just come and interrupt the proceedings, and then he would take over the podium and talk. And he would be sitting like 2 or 3 or 4 feet away from the podium. It was so informal, so casual. And the most memorable thing about that trip was at the end of the trip, they had us sit in Purna Chandra, where they were distributing the certificates, and Swami was going to give prasadam, Vibhuti prasadam. And he came around, they gave the certificates out. Swami personally gave from that little red basket the Vibhuti in each person's hand, and he looked at them, and we were granted Padamaskar. And Swami said, I bless all of you, go and teach, which we did. We went back home and we taught. My brother was with me at the time, Tej, and my parents opted to send both of us instead of going themselves. They later went in 1983-85 to the conference, so I was very happy that they were able to see Swami as well. The experience was really mind-blowing, considering it was our first trip. Oh, by the way, Western canteen didn't exist. Punjabi canteen or North Indian. So we were only left with South Indian. So it was kind of a little bit tough getting used to idlis when we didn't know what it was. But now we love idlis. After that, the last memory, there's many of them, but the most memorable and the last touching one for Bob, myself, we also have Dr. Hari, Kanjivaram is on this, who is dialing in from Detroit. He's also was part of it. Swami granted the medical team every year, we take a group photograph after the International Medical Camp in Puttaparthi, and it's presented to Swami. It's sent out to the village, they print a big picture, they take it to Swami, they write a report, and the photograph is presented to Swami. On this one day, they said, we're going to take the picture. And then they came back and said, no, we're not taking a picture. So everybody was like, why aren't they taking a picture? Why? Swami doesn't want to see a picture of us. So we didn't say anything. We kept working. And then all of a sudden, after we were asked to meet in the little prayer room we have, and we were then told that there will be special seating for us in Mandir for that evening. We're going for darshan. We typically don't go for darshan. We don't go for any of these Kulwant Hall. We just do everything at the medical camp. And we were blessed when we went in. All the doctors wore white. We decided we would all wear white. And even though the ladies typically would wear colored. And we sat down, and Swami spent that evening, it was November 25th. He spent the entire evening darshan with us in the mandir. And the orchestra was waiting, the international global orchestra, the symphony was there waiting to perform. Everybody was waiting for darshan. And Swami spent the entire evening, because as soon as he left that hall, he proceeded outside. You heard one or two bhajans, and then Aarti started, and he left. And it was the most blissful of your life. It was like nothing existed, only you and Swami and this group. And many of the fellow doctors, volunteers, male, female, all had beautiful interactions with Swami. And knowing that 2011, Swami left, it was very touching for us that Swami did this for our group, knowing that we would not be able to see him for the next medical camp.
Very little that I have is all Bhagwan's grace. And so from turning into my first trip to outside of Guyana, the foundation was built in Guyana. My love for Baba was very strong, and that wasn't going to shake. I knew that. And I felt very happy internally, because as my parents would notice, and I thank them very much for it, because they never felt that I was distracted in any way. They thought that whatever I was doing was good for me, because it was easy for me to be distracted in there. And I did some of that, but I wasn't able to go too far away. Baba kept me in under his umbrella. And when I went to Toronto, I had a very good opportunity to join York University Center. And for the 10 years that I stayed there, I started developing the love for the Seva and the study circles. The study circles started to grow in such large numbers that 600 and 500 was a small number. It grew very rapidly, and they started to use the university auditorium for the study circle. One beautiful Seva opportunity I had with Brother Shiva Gopi was to take a dialysis patient from hospital to visit his family. And we were to take him and bring him back to the hospital. And I'm going to get a taste of what it is to see a family overjoyed with tears welcoming the father home as we brought him in. And I understood then the happiness that they felt, the joy, the tears, expressions of love in that seva. I stayed quiet and I enjoyed the opportunity, and it stayed with me. It made an impact on me. It helped me to look forward to more, to want to do more. Because if that little bit of helping someone to get home to the family was able to bring so much happiness to them, then that's all I need to learn. There are many loved ones that I would like to recognize, and Brother Hari is one of them, Dr. Raju is one of them. Our Guyanese brothers, Brother Ramesh Prasad, Brother Vishnu, Brother Robin, and so on, the entire team, Auntie Joyce. Those are the people who helped to mold me. And Dr. Gautam, you also are a part of it, because I had to communicate with you and work with you on every project. So there's nothing new that we're speaking about here, to acknowledge all the loved ones who helped me to accomplish the task I had at hand. Now, my first trip to Baba was 1984 with Brother Vedi Maharaj from Mississauga Science Center, and it was Shivaratri time. And when I arrived in Baba's ashram that day, there was a concert going on. It was Shivaratri time, and a concert was going on. And it was morning concert. The music I heard in the concert was the same music I heard at home in Guyana, in my head. And you can imagine that my feelings inside of me, for some reason, when I'm in front of Baba, he pulls at the heartstrings so much that no matter who it is, you can be the strongest person on this planet. But when Baba pulls and plays on the heartstrings of your stomach, of your heart, inside of you melts and the tears come. You can't control it. You can't stop it. It happened to me. I realized that I reached home. I knew then that that is the strongest glue that will bond me now to Prashanti Nilayam, where I belong. When all of us talk about Baba with dreams, each one is unique. Each one of us as devotees, as loved ones with Baba, each one of us are unique, and we have unique dreams specific to us. And so my dream with Baba was, on a beautiful Sunday morning, Baba was delivering mail in Prashanti Nilayam to the residents. And it was midday and hot sun, and Baba was walking barefoot. And I rushed because it was only me and him. There was nobody else around because it was too hot and nobody was outside. So I rushed to Baba, and I didn't ask permission to speak with him. I just started speaking. And I said, Baba, please, the ground is too hot for your feet. Please allow me to put my hands on the ground, and you walk into my hands, and I will move my hands like this, so you will not feel the heat. He looked at me and he said, in the dream, you come to Prashanti Nilayam, and I will allow you to touch my feet all you want. And that was the end of my dream, brother. March 1st, I ended up happening to be in Prashanti Nilayam of 1991. And Baba blessed me with an interview. And in that interview, that everything fell into place, because the first person he called that morning was me. It was a cool morning, beautiful morning, 6:45 a.m. The birds are chirping, the flowers are smelling so fragrant, and everything was beautiful in those days. It was just sand. And I sat in the room because I was the first to go in, near to his chair. And on his left side facing him as he was sitting in the chair. And then he turned and he said, "What do you want?" And I said, I couldn't even talk because the sweetness, the way I'm speaking now is very coarse. When Baba speaks, his voice is laden with nectar, with sweet nectar. And I just couldn't control myself. I said, "Baba, I only wanted you." And I continued crying. I couldn't stop it. And at that time, I opened my eyes just to see, and he was materializing this ring that I'm wearing. This happened in 1991, March 1st. He placed it on my finger, and he said, "Very happy." As he continued the interview that morning, I was sitting there, and he had a habit of lifting his feet up and pressing it back into the pillow, the footrest. And I looked at him like this, and I put my left hand under his left foot, and I took my right hand and I started massaging his foot. I did that for both feet all through the interview until he called me in for the second interview on the inner room. And that was my dream, and that was the reality.
Swami is everything. It goes back to the first question um, as to how old I was at the time. You know, when we started Swami's, it would have been 1975. I would have only been 9. So, not remembering at such a young age, and you count the years backwards when we think we started going to bhajans, because I remember being involved at Mr. Chilo Sai Center, and all the centers got together, but we were going there on a Sunday morning, even though we lived in Trinidad, in Chagonas. We would drive to Marabella to go to their Sunday morning services. They would have bhajans on Thursdays and Sundays. And I really and truly, having known Swami from such a young age, um, it's like Swami is everything. You think Swami, you eat Swami, everything revolves about Swami's activities. Your conversations start, "Oh, Swami, what am I going to have for lunch today? Swami, what am I going to do? Swami, what should we do? When should I book my ticket?" It's like a constant inner conversation I have. Everything you plan to do starts with Swami, and that's how I think. You open your eyes in the morning, and well, most people have, you have a prayer room, but in every place that you could hang artwork, it's a photo of Swami at home here. So this is our altar. This is Swami's room that we're sitting in. But there's a photograph of Swami in every room except the bathroom. So everywhere you turn, you sit, you watch TV, there's a photograph right next to the TV. So you're always looking at Swami during commercials. So for me, Swami is everything. You can't exist. And when the question was asked, I started realizing that I know nothing else but Swami. So I didn't have I lived a certain number of years, and then you found about Swami and your life transforms. It's just been everything Swami. It's all that I've known.
My Baba is everything for me, just like all of us. Baba is everything to all of us. Baba is our friend. Baba is our teacher. Baba is my mother. Baba is my father. Baba is everything. Whatever I am, whoever I am, it's nothing. It's all Baba. Because Baba said, "Come to me as a broken vehicle, and I'll put you through the workshop." I'm still in the workshop, in his hands. That's more
So-
important for me. That's more important for me, to be always in his workshop.
The little experiences that you have. Many of you know Professor GV, Uncle Venkatarama. I will call him Uncle, Professor Venkatarama. So he in Parthi, we have this, we always visit him. Sometimes once or twice he came to our room and we got devotees to come and he had a talk. But one day he invited us to come over and talk, and it was coming close to Darshan, and he was going and he says, would you like a ride? Because we started walking, rushing, and he said, jump in the car, jump in the car. And we're like, the car. And then next thing you know, this little red car pulls up and we get in the car, and Bob and I are looking at each other and we're like, but this is Swami's little old red car that used to drive Swami, the ADA 19 or 9000, something like that. And I'm looking at Bob and he's looking at me and I'm like, this is Swami's car. We're getting to sit in the car. We actually sat in the back. But it was so exciting that Swami rode in this car, and even though it was a distance from Rang Building 3 to Kulwant Hall, I felt like out of this world. I went to Darshan that day and I did not even probably sang bhajan. I kept thinking, oh, I sat in the car. Swami sat in this car. That's all I thought about for the entire evening darshan. Sairam. Being at such a small age, I think it was like a sponge. You know, you're small. They always say you want to straighten a tree. You start it from a young. You don't straighten the mango tree after it's leaning over the neighbor's fence, right? So for me, I think just being lucky, like by the time Balvikas reached to the islands, we were past the Balvikas age. So we never had it, but we lived with elders like Uncle Chilo, Mr. Saw, Mr. Tajmul Hussain, Uncle Gopi, Mr. Paladi, all these folks. They came later on, some of them in the early days, but these were our old mentors. These are the ones who taught us discipline. We had bhajan practice. We had all these people shaped their lives. And as you started growing up, going to school, getting an education, you started reading, being taught all of these, and you started learning. And I think the discipline started from a young age, that I've always said, you can build a house, build a foundation. The house can blow away with the hurricane, the roof can go, but if the foundation is there, you can rebuild. And very grateful to Swami for that foundation from a very young age.
Sairam, you're so lucky because so many of us come at an older age to Swami with so many bad habits, which we have to spend so long trying to get rid of, you know. So Bob, pre-Sai and post-Sai.
Brother, yes, as I mentioned, it could have been very easy for me to be distracted. It could have been very easy because there were many vices around, and one of them, or all of them, were in me. I was no exception to it. Being 17 years old, when I came into Baba's blessings and to have his darshan and to start a journey as Baba wants it to be, was a disciplined journey. And that discipline is what helps. That discipline was the catalyst. As you read, the discipline instituted the practices. And for me, it was knowing that if I were to follow, what were the choices? What are the benefits? And maybe I was greedy for the benefits, but I chose to have that. And I stayed with it. It was a transformation from one level of the ladder at the bottom to the ground to another level up. And I was satisfied. I was very happy with that, but I wanted to make that effort, that effort that is worthy of Baba's attention. And that effort is what helped me slowly, one step, baby steps, to get closer to Baba. Anger, hatred, jealousy, pride, ego, whatever the vices are, I prayed to Baba to please scrub them in the workshop, to please take them away, replace them with love, that I can love him and serve him, love all and serve all, and be a brother to everyone.
Sarah and Bob, thanks so much for that beautiful lesson. So, Usha, I want to ask you a little different question. I know we're in the pandemic. I know New York was the epicenter of the pandemic, Even Trinidad, so many of us have lost loved ones, family members. Even so many of my patients have passed on, and I want to ask you, besides just the illness and the deaths with the pandemic, there's also the uncertainty. There's also, the psychological impact on so many people. There's job loss, so many uncertainties. How has Swami and his teachings helped you, to navigate this pandemic so far, Sarah?
So I was going to work every day, concerned about the COVID, but never worried. I don't know, there was some defiant streak in me that says, I am beyond this, I will not get it, I'm going to show COVID who is boss. Jokingly, of course. But you were concerned, you did all that you had to do, you just took it up a notch, you sanitize, you wear your mask. The one blessing that I found, and people were not working, people were not coming into their offices. So you would ride a bus with a bus driver alone. I mean, in New York, you get on a train and there's 5 people in a subway car. It's unheard of. The trains are immaculately clean. The stations are clean. Nobody is in Manhattan. I took some photographs of Manhattan. You would think that all life is gone from New York City. There was only 1 or 2 people on the streets, and you could actually hear the buses coming down. Now, personally, we leaned a lot on phone calls, making extra effort to reach out to family, touching base. We all had a crash course in Zoom and a crash course in every sort of technology you can have, which I think we're like probably all professionals by now, attempting to be at least. But you try to reach out, and then you started realizing, for me personally, the shops didn't matter. You couldn't go, the stores were closed. Okay, so how much shopping did you do? Nothing. What did you buy? Groceries, whatever was necessities. Who did you call? Did you call any sundry person? No. You called family. You called loved ones. You go to work, come home. You come home, there is Zoom calls. What is important? Work is important. Work is worship. Duty is God. You do your work. You come home, you're on bhajans. It's like Swami took all the distractions away, and he made you realize you lived for like 6 to 9 months not having to go to a store to shop. You didn't need to get it. You bought it because you were walking by. You got a flyer. You couldn't go to the store. So simple little things like that, lessons for me, taught you the importance of these are not important things. So for me, a lot of detachment took place. Never was attached, but further detachment from these things and how you look at it. And I always say your Sai family is your near and dear family to me. Blood family, yes, they're all there, but somehow there's a Sai bond with devotees that you pick up the phone and you start having a conversation. Swami, COVID goes out the window, all your stress is gone, everything is just calm. When you get off the phone or the Zoom call or the bhajan, everything is still calm. So to our dear Sai family, thank you for reaching out to us. We got many messages of concern, and we think of everyone during their phase of the pandemic.
So Bob, similar experience. How did the pandemic impact on you?
Brother,
he had the joys of working from home, so.
Yeah. In fact, when when they said go home, I felt like I was going on a vacation, but it was not the case. Working from home has its ups and downs as well. It's very fattening, I would say. I mean, I put on so much weight, it's unbelievable. I know that the work has to be done and we tried, but how did this happen? Why did it happen when it happened? It happened, and we had to go through the experience. The experience has made us stronger at this time. I know for a fact that we are prepared for bigger things. It's not over yet. But if we can learn something from it, we should take that very seriously. Um, we may be any part of the world, and it can happen. Many people were grounded in many parts of the world on vacation. They were grounded in India, they couldn't travel. They were grounded all over the place. And unfortunately, many didn't have the wherewithal to get out from where they were.
I think we have found that, even though we haven't had physical satsangs for so long, the experience is similar. I think Zoom has brought us nearer. And also what Usha said about the inward journey, this pandemic got us a chance to focus on what's important in our lives and to go inwards. I just want to quickly ask Bob, you have, you're Mr. Saver. And we've had Saver experience all over the world. And I know I've seen you in Prashanti, I've seen you in the medical clinic, I've seen you in Guyana with the fibroid project. I want to ask you to share with us the importance of Seva, how it's impacted in your life, and what benefits Seva can give to the average devotee. Sarah.
Sorry, brother. Brother, you see, it's a beautiful question. And this question, I pray, Baba, please help me here. I always felt, the little I always felt that anything we do and we offer it to Baba first, that's more important to me. And then he starts putting things into place. But we have to make that deliberate effort on our own. In the form of Seva, international Seva, when I left Guyana, I promised myself that, and I promised Baba, that even though I'm leaving, I will never forget Sai centers in Guyana. I must be able to help them with books, with bhajans, vibhuti, and the like, if they don't have. If they have, fine. If not, whatever else is new, I try to get and share with them. That was my promise. It started like that. And as I moved to Toronto, from Toronto to New York, but the major part of my life since 1984 here in New York has been on the international front for the Seva camps, the medical camps. At that point, openly tonight, I offer my gratitude to Bhagwan first. I offer my gratitude to Usha, because without her help, I couldn't do any of it. She was side and side by me all the time. Whether I was in the field traveling, she was at home supporting me to whatever I needed in the field. And I needed a lot of things while I was away. I didn't have a computer, I didn't have a phone, I didn't have anything, but I had to communicate with them. The people who helped me, first, Baba. Second, all the community leaders from Guyana, Brother Ramesh, Brother Vishnu and team, all the centers in Guyana, all my loved ones in Guyana who are on the call, I thank all of you. To all the loved ones in Trinidad, Brother Gautam, yourself, your family, and all the loved ones in Trinidad who helped me to get where I am today. To the loved ones in Canada who allowed me to do Seva. In the international sphere, I was blessed to work as a volunteer with the medical doctors, Dr. Hari Kanjivaram, Dr. Yatish Marchand, Dr. Raju Bangaru Raju, Dr. Reddy, all the senior members of SSIO. To all of them, we are extremely grateful. Usha, myself, we are extremely grateful. And without their blessings, we would not have been able to accomplish or do the little that we do. We don't do anything really, but to be with them, to cooperate with them, to collaborate with them, to plan with them, to speak with them, to learn from them was my greatest gift. Every opportunity to learn something was the opportunity of a lifetime. Every opportunity, sometimes in a rush, you have to think on your feet, speak on your feet, you have to run on your feet, do things on your feet, because it's important, it's urgent, it needs to get done. There are opportunities. And these opportunities came in 2004 with the 35 doctors to Guyana in the medical camp. And 2006 with Brother Harry Kanjivaram and his team, and Dr. Yatish Merchant, Dr. Gaya. And 2006, Dr. Harry again, with all the team, Dr. Radha Batinan, 60 member team of a huge medical camp when Baba told him to go back. Dr. Harry was involved in that, in leading that team as well. And our routine, our job was to replicate what we learned from the last, to create a program so that when our loved ones who were volunteers going there, taking time out from their own work, their own families, paying all their own expenses for travel, for accommodation, they went to do volunteer work to the needy in Guyana. It was on those occasions that they took over entire hospitals. And we know Saudi Hospital, Essequibo Hospital, in Charity Hospital in Essequibo, Georgetown, all clinics, they went everywhere and did seva. And they took a lot of the supplies as well, not just work. So all these experiences were opportunities for us to learn and take what we have learned to share with others, those who would like to do similar. So anyone at any time are free to call and ask. We are here to help, offer our little thoughts that we have in mind. So all those opportunities to do the medical camps that you witnessed in Prashanti Nilan at Baba's birthday time, when you have the millions of people, devotees coming there, and they look after so many patients on a day in, day out basis. It is a miracle. It is a miracle when you do the numbers at the end of the day and the total numbers for 5 or 6 days of medical camp. How they did that, only Baba. It is only by Baba's grace, it is only Baba's blessings that these doctors from 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning until 8, 10, 11, 12 at night, they do the same seva, the same medical work that they love to offer.